We all know that The Descent is the pinnacle of the exploration film genre, but few know that this movie premiered the same year as The Cave, a dramatic film of the same genre, and it can also be said to be one of the best exploration films. But compared to The Descent, they are equally matched. The monsters inside also don't disappoint anyone. Those who love to pursue drama should not miss it. Flying monsters are common, but ones that fly in deep caves are rare. The story begins in Romania, 30 years ago. Deep within the uninhabited Carpathian Mountains, there stood a ruined church. People said there was a cave beneath the church, and a gold mine hidden within it. After a group of explorers heard about this, they had prepared all their weapons to come here. But after they pushed open the church door sealed for hundreds of years, they discovered that the walls inside were full of strange carvings. Everywhere exuded an eerie aura. It was very different from other ordinary churches, and in the center of the church was the entrance to a sealed cave. Moreover, it was engraved with strange patterns. But they did not realize this was a sign of danger, still naive to think that there was gold below, so they planted a bomb and blew up the entrance. After a loud explosion, a huge cave appeared before their eyes, but just as they were feeling happy about it, the ground suddenly collapsed, taking the whole team into the cave. Even more terrifying is, the recent explosion also caused a landslide, burying the church and the cave entrance. This means the expedition team is permanently trapped in the cave. However, they don't know at this moment that there's no gold in the cave at all, and the purpose of the locals building this church was actually to seal the terrifying monsters in the cave. In the blink of an eye, 30 years have passed. The ruins of the church were once again excavated by a scientific expedition team. They also accidentally uncovered a buried cave. Dr. Nicholas said it was a shocking discovery, because in the huge, permanently sealed cave, there may very well be an independent ecosystem, but the entire cave leads straight down with no visible bottom. Additionally, there are very loud water-like sounds. Therefore, he could only contact a professional underwater cave exploration team. Let them go into the cave to investigate. Very soon, the expedition leader Alex and his team, under the leadership of Joan's younger brother, arrived at the scene by helicopter. Relying on professional equipment and extensive diving experience, this expedition team has conquered countless underwater caves, and Captain Alex is the elite of the elite. There is no cave he can't handle. They even invented their own set of diving equipment that can allow continuous underwater diving for 24 hours. For caves that require long-term diving, this is definitely like a tiger growing wings. After understanding the basic situation of the cave, the whole team was ready to enter the cave. The entrance is a well, not too big nor too small, but the cave below is very spacious. Even for the exploration team, just looking at the scene, couldn't help but utter an exclamation. Under the light of the lamp, the stalactites revealed strange, particularly magnificent shapes, and in the pool below, there was an underwater cave stretching several kilometers, in which many such caves might exist. At this moment, John, the one responsible for finding the way, was ready. Because the cave is too long, they can only gradually move deeper inside, so John needs to pull the fiber optic cable and safety rope to the first hall, and use the sonar device to map the cave structure, clearing the way for the members behind. After a long wait, John's screen finally appeared on the computer. He has safely reached the first cave hall, also sent over the drawn structural diagram. However, while everyone was excited, John seemed to notice something. He picked it up and looked at it. It turned out to be a giant mole. In the cave, there really was a creature, but the next second, John's expression suddenly became worried, as if he had discovered something else. Then the screen on the computer disappeared. The signal also suddenly interrupted. Jones guessed that the network cable was cut, or it might have encountered some danger. For safety reasons, Black suggested sending someone over there to check the situation again, but Jones said they should go together, and Alex thought for a moment. The decision was still for everyone to go together. Jones and Scott were responsible for checking if the network cables along the way were broken. Meanwhile, Alex led everyone straight to the cave where John was. But on the way, they discovered the skeleton of a giant creature. It looked like some ancient creature, and Alex quickly reached the cave on this side. Fortunately, John was unharmed, because the network cable just had a problem. He just went to check the situation in the cave, and also discovered some human equipment left behind. It seems they weren't the first ones to come here. Meanwhile, the two Joneses also found the broken network cable. It looks like it was bitten by something. Jones immediately went to fix it. Scott continued to check the remaining network cables, but he unexpectedly entered another cave. cave. Here, he also found a mole's corpse. From the freshness of the blood stains, it seemed it hadn't died long ago. And suddenly, a strange creature fell in front of him. Before he could get a clear look at it, the creature disappeared from sight again. This scared Scott. However, while he was still in shock, a monster suddenly appeared above, directly throwing him into the water. Scott tried to escape with the propeller, but the monster gave no chance. The activated propeller even hit the stone wall and immediately exploded. Jones heard Scott's cries for help. Then the blast's aftermath brought him to the first cave. Jones, bewildered, had no idea what was happening, just knew that Scott might be in danger. After hearing this, Alex immediately took Black to investigate, only to find that the entire passage had collapsed. The way back was completely blocked. The two moved a few stones aside and found Scott's breathing bag. It seems like he's in big trouble. Seeing the loose rocks start to fall again, the two can only abandon the rescue and turn back. When they return to the first cave, Alex talks about the difficulties they're facing. The passage is now completely blocked. They can't return to the original location. The collapse caused the network cables to malfunction again. They also can't send a distress signal outside, and the equipment they brought isn't much. It can only last about a week, so now they have only one choice, which is to find another way out. But John says it's not that simple, because everyone knows Scott's death was not an accident. There is definitely something else in the cave. Those who came here before certainly also encountered the attack of that unknown creature. Biologist Sarah immediately agreed. The existence of moles proves that there is no shortage of food here. If it is not at the top of the food chain, that means there are even more terrifying creatures in the cave. But in any case, now they are facing a situation that only they can save themselves from. And Alex has encountered such a situation before, but he handled it cleanly every time. And this time is no exception. After calming everyone down, Alex took Black to find a way out first. The two quickly discovered a narrow passage. Alex crawled through first. This cave is very large, but there's no exit in sight. When Alex was about to turn back, he discovered a deadly scorpion swarm. He hurriedly called Black to retreat and lit a flare to drive them away. But unexpectedly, there was something even more terrifying. A monster suddenly appeared and took Alex away. Luckily, after a struggle, he managed to cut off the monster's claw and escape. The two hurriedly returned to the old spot. Alex even brought back the monster's claw, but his back was injured. He needed antibiotics quickly. After treating Alex's wound, Sarah also began researching the claw Alex brought back. Just one toenail has already grown this big. The body of the monster might be hard to imagine. They are very likely to have discovered some kind of ancient creature never seen before. This ancient creature lived in closed caves all year round, leading to severe vision impairment. But at the same time, its hearing and sense of smell have developed significantly. And when Sarah was about to cut a small piece, the claw suddenly moved. The doctor guessed it was a neural reflex, but Sarah observed carefully and found that the muscles above were still constantly twitching. Looking closer under the microscope, she discovered an extremely strong parasite, exactly like the parasites living on moles. These parasites are everywhere. It seems they coexist with the creatures in the cave, but they didn't know that once humans get infected, they undergo a terrifying transformation. Then, under Alex's leadership, the group continued to search for an exit. However, no one noticed that the scratched Alex had started to deteriorate. But soon after, they reached a crossroads. Alex decisively chose the upward path, and everyone immediately started climbing up. But when he saw the wounds on Alex's body, Black began to worry about his health condition, so he suggested that everyone take a break together. But Alex said he would rest when they reached the other side of the water. Black was very surprised, because he didn't hear any sound of water, but Alex said he himself had heard it. It was true that when they got there, they discovered there really was a lake here. To check the clarity of the water, Alex immediately threw a flare down, and saw such a brilliant sight. The cameraman couldn't help but point the camera at the lake. Unexpectedly, this action excited Alex, who directly knocked the camera into the water, but he quickly calmed down and apologized for his recent actions. Based on the speed of the camera's fall, it was deduced that water was flowing down, so there might be another passage there. Alex suggested resting there for half an hour before continuing, but when he sat alone, he felt something strange inside him, as if something was trying to control his mind. Clearly, he has been infected with a parasite. After recovery, Alex clearly felt that something had changed. His hearing and sense of smell became extremely sharp. Others also noticed Alex's odd behavior and began to worry if he could find a way out, but they didn't know their conversation was clearly heard by Alex from afar. After resting, they began to move towards the depths of the lake, and the monsters were watching their prey from the darkness. The group continued moving forward along the water. Quickly, they surfaced and reached an underground river. Alex decided to dive down the rapid current, but the others thought it was too dangerous, and they should find another way. But Alex insisted this was the only way out. Black slid into the water first. Seeing that, everyone followed. But unexpectedly at the end of the underground stream was a waterfall hundreds of meters high. But luckily, there was another lake below. Except for the doctor at the end, they all landed safely without any danger. At this moment, Beth suddenly noticed something in the lake. Jones immediately dove down to check, and discovered an extremely aggressive piranha, but it quickly disappeared. Then, guided by the glow stick, everyone gathered together, and the doctor also jumped in at this time, but he was pushed to the other side by the underground river. Alex was preparing to go pick up the doctor when he saw a monster attacking him. By the time Alex ran over, the doctor had already been dragged into a cave by the monster. He could even see the tattoo on the monster's arm clearly. Does this tattoo look familiar to everyone? That's right. It's from the first exploration team. It's clear that the monsters here are none other than those who have been infected by parasites and transformed. After a few moments of sorrow, the group could only continue moving forward, but not long after, they discovered another underground stream. It seems that if they just keep following this stream, they might find the way out. However, Alex chose a different path, because everyone saw the fate of the previous doctor. Obviously, going up would be safer, and then opinions were divided, but for safety reasons, they still chose to trust Alex, and because the cliff was very steep, they needed someone to go ahead and clear the path, and setting up hooks along the way. Then Beth, the skilled climber, immediately volunteered to go first. After all, she was the most suitable for this task, but Alex disagreed, and decided that he and Jones would lead the way. Unexpectedly, as the two were preparing, Beth climbed up on her own. By the time everyone reacted, she climbed halfway up. As a climber, Beth's speed was incredibly fast. She immediately climbed up to the upper cave. Clearly, there was a stream of air in the cave. It meant there was an exit ahead. Seeing this, the others hurriedly followed, but suddenly, a monster appeared in front of Beth. Fortunately, the latch was still secure, so she escaped a fate of falling to her death, but the monster seemed unwilling to give up its prey at hand. Seeing this, the people below wanted to lower Beth down, but they found that the rope was stuck. Watching the monster approaching step by step, Beth had to rely on inertia, trying to push herself across the opposite cliff. When she reached the highest point, she decisively cut the safety rope, and just like that, she grabbed the wall of the opposite cliff. But unexpectedly, just as she sighed in relief, when she turned around, she discovered a monster flying by. It actually had very long wings. Facing such a terrifying creature that could live in any terrain, even someone as strong as Beth had no resistance. Ultimately, she had to pay with her life. Desperately, she used the flamethrower in her hand to die together with the monster, while her teammates below could only stand helplessly watching all of this. Another teammate gone, making everyone very disheartened. Yet no one noticed the changes in Alex. He still decided to continue climbing the cliff, but the photographer at this moment noticed a significant change in Alex's eyes. Sarah finally understood at this moment. The parasite had entered Alex's body through the wound. It would gradually transform the host and adapt to the environment here, eventually becoming the monster that attacked them. The previous exploration team had completely transformed, and this would also be Alex's fate. After drawing these conclusions, they no longer trusted Alex, and felt that he was no longer human. Sarah suggested they follow the waterway next. John and the cameraman agreed, but Jones and Black still chose to trust Alex, who had been through life and death with them for years. Thus, the group of 6 split into 2 teams. The group of 3 led by Sarah took the water route, and Alex here continued to climb up the cliff. Quickly, the 3 climbed to the upper cave, at the end of which was another bottomless ice wall. Next, Black took the lead. They continued to climb down the cliff, but something happened to Jones, who was following closely behind. It turned out he slipped, causing his gear to fall off, and it fell right on Black. Luckily, there was a slope underneath, and Black only broke his left leg. The 2 quickly got there. Meanwhile, Alex discovered the object that just fell had broken through a layer of ice, and inside was a cave. There was even a smell of methane gas. The 3 of them entered the cave, and discovered that it was a massive cave. When methane burned, the strangeness everywhere became evident. When they saw the cold water and continuous light flowing out, Alex firmly stated that the exit was here, but his body was becoming increasingly unwell. But even so, Alex still held his body and told the 2 to go ahead, but he wants to go back and find the other 3 people. Thinking about his brother's current condition, Jones, of course, won't agree, and Black is injured. The only one who can go is him. Meanwhile, at this moment, the other three people not only can't find the way out, but also encounter a monster attack. Waiting until Jones arrived, John had already been nailed to the cave ceiling by the monster. Even he had become a target of the monsters. In the dangerous moment, Jones was saved by Sarah. It turned out she accidentally discovered that the sonar scanner could repel the monster attacks. The two hurriedly swam towards the exit. On the way, they encountered the surviving cameraman. The remaining 5 finally reunited, but the monster was also nearby, ready to move. While Jones was leaving, the two were also attacked by the monster. It took one oxygen tank, and if they wanted to swim out of here, they definitely had to get that oxygen tank back. Alex quickly discovered the oxygen tank's position on the rock column, so he decided to let the others go into the water first, while he went to get the oxygen tank. Under the cover of the sonar scanner, the three of them, Jones and the others, quickly reached the water, but the cameraman following behind was stabbed in the leg by stalactites, dislodged by the monster, ultimately becoming food for the monster. He saw another monster approaching him from behind. The three could only abandon the rescue and escape into the water. Meanwhile, Alex had climbed up to the rock pillar. After defeating the monster following him, he successfully retrieved the oxygen tank above, but he chose not to go back. Instead, he threw the oxygen tank to Jones, because two monsters were also approaching him simultaneously. Moreover, he had been infected by a parasite, also cannot return to a normal life in the human world. Next, he places a glow stick into another oxygen tank to ignite the methane gas in the cave, but as the monster charges towards him, he chooses to die with it. No. Seeing the entire cave about to collapse, the three of them quickly dive into the water. Finally, they successfully escaped. However, the movie's ending tells us the danger is not over yet. When Jones and Sarah met again, Sarah said some strange things. At first, I thought the parasite could only survive in the cave, but later I realized I was wrong. I feel like they want to come out from there.